Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful.
And so we begin in consciousness, accepting and knowing that there is but one power in the universe, infinite, creative, intelligent. It is everywhere present, all-knowing and all-powerful, and as such, right here where I am. As we come together in this moment, I accept and know that this service is truly a gift and a blessing. Received in love, expressed in love, shared in love, a divine blessing is bestowed and received as I move into this moment with pure love, with an open mind and a clear heart. Today, I accept that this day is truly a beautiful moment in time. So gratefully, humbly, under grace, I release these ideas to the One. It is done and all is well. And so it is.
Good morning, everyone. Just give me a wave if you have your camera on. Good morning, good morning, good morning. First song we're going to sing today is I Am the Radiant Life of God. Feel free to sing with me if you know it. I am the radiant life of God. I am, I am, I am. I am the radiant life of God. I am, I am, I am. The health of God, the strength of God, vitality, energy, vim of God. I am the radiant life of God. I am, I am, I am. I am the wonderful love of God. I am, I am, I am. I am the wonderful love of God. I am, I am, I am. The peace of God, the joy of God, serenity, harmony, rhythm of God. I am the wonderful love of God. I am, I am, I am. I am the wisdom and power of God. I am, I am, I am. I am the wisdom and power of God. I am, I am, I am. The light of God, success of God, prosperity, happiness, might of God. I am the wisdom and power of God. I am, I am, I am. And so it is.
Good morning. My name is Sheldon Edwards, and I welcome you to our Sunday spiritual experience. We are Verity Center for Better Living, a New Thought teaching ministry, a member of the Universal Foundation for Better Living. Namaskar. If you are joining us for the first time, it is my pleasure to greet you on behalf of the minister and our members. It is my hope that something said or done today will make a positive difference in your life. Please know that we accept you, respect you, and appreciate you. If you have any questions or you need to find out more about the center, please visit our website at www.veritycenter.org and subscribe and like our Facebook page, Verity Center. We thank you for spending time with us. Our vision is creating and maintaining a spiritually based community that facilitates enlightenment, enrichment, and empowerment. Our mission is offering spiritually based principles and techniques to those who are seeking to live healthy, happier, and more prosperous lives. Our motto is always verifying the truth, vivifying the spirit, vitalizing the soul. We offer a full range of sacerdotal services, classes, and spiritual coaching. There are also opportunities to become a part of the community. Please refer to our website for more information. Opening affirmation. Please affirm the opening statement with me. I am a child of God, and I act like one. I am radiating center of peace and love. If you have your daily inspiration publication with you, please turn to the page after the center page, and I will be reading the first 4 core beliefs. We believe that it is with every individual on the face of this earth should have a healthy, happy, and prosperous life. We believe that such a life is within the reach of each one of us, and the way to its attainment begins with the realization that the kingdom of God is within us, waiting for us to bring it into expression. We believe that we can bring this kingdom forth by practicing the universal spiritual principles handed down through the ages and taught by our way shower, Jesus Christ. We believe that with our experiences are reflections of our beliefs, and therefore the key to happy and successful living is right thinking followed by right action. Today's daily inspirational reading is found on page 33 and will be read by Krishna Dewan Cobb of the Sunday School.
Prayer works wonders. The story is told of Saint Felix of Nola, who, following an intuitive lead, hid in a cave from pursuing soldiers. Fear gripped Saint Felix when his prayer for safety was interrupted by the talking of soldiers who stopped right outside his hiding place. They were about to move on when one of the soldiers noticed the cave, commenting that it was a perfect hiding spot. However, it was pointed out that the entrance was covered by a huge spider web. Saint Felix realized with intense gratitude that his prayer had been answered, and that as soon as he had crawled through the opening, a spider had appeared from the cracks in the wall and spun a web over the entrance. "Come on," urged another soldier. "Nobody has been in there. They would have broken the thread. Let's go, we're wasting time." Praying and trusting God completely is never a waste of time. What are you worrying about again? The scriptural text is taken from Jeremiah chapter 32, verse 27. I am the Lord. Is anything too hard for me? And so it is.
Thank you, Krishna. Please listen to the reminders. Daily meditation, a call to love at 7 a.m. when we are taken through a soothing and healing love experience. Wednesday evening breakaway continues at 7 p.m. Meditation, a recap of Sunday lesson, discussion, sharing, and prayer requests. To receive the links or phone-in information, please send an email to admin@veritycenter.org or leave a message at 416-240-1956. Let us prepare for a moment of conscious communion with our source and supply.
I am love. I am love. I am love.
And it is in this place that we begin. As I take a deep breath in, I welcome the energy of relaxation comforting me, allowing me to awaken to a deeper presence and a greater vision for life. I invite each one gathered to breathe into the fullness of being and allow the authentic voice to have full and complete release, expression, allowance in every day-to-day experience. So as I come together in this moment and as I relax here and now, I know that now is the only point of time. Now is the only moment of creation. Now is where I live, move, and have my being. And so the past is behind me. I deny its role in my life any further. The future has yet to come. I deny any power in future ideas or comments. What I do is I live in the now moment and respond instantly, immediately, continuously to the guidance of the Christ consciousness within. This is a new day, a new beginning, and as I open my mind and heart, I do so with a sense of celebration and rejoicing, for I know now and always that I am one with God. It is in that oneness that I recognize everything around me is for my good. Regardless of how I may view it, it is for my good. I trust that that is the truth, and that from this point forward, I live from that perception, that each event that happens in my life, I look at as neutral. And I allow myself to respond to each in that manner, that I might be willing to learn, to expand, and to grow, so I can be that dynamic, creative individual God created me to be. I allow the truth of my being, the love of my light, to shine, to glow, and to be. And I am truly, truly grateful.
I am love. 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 I am love, pure love.
And so it is.
Thought for the week is by Reverend Barbara. As I shift my thinking and expand my capacity for love, I see how my beliefs have created my life. Believing is seeing. As I come to believe in the power of God, I see new reality, a new life. I become the change I experience fulfillment now. We will now have a musical selection by Jean-Pierre Trudel.
Ain't got time for messing around, and it's not my style. This old town can slow you down, people taking the easy way. I know exactly where I'm going, getting closer, closer every day, and I'm almost there. I'm almost there. People down here think I'm crazy, but I don't care. Trials and tribulations, I've had my share. There ain't nothing gonna stop me now, 'cause I'm almost there. I remember Daddy told me fairy tales can come true. You gotta make them happen, it all depends on you. So I work real hard each and every day. Now thanks for sure are going my way. Just doing what I do. Look out, boys, I'm coming through, and I'm almost there. I'm almost there. People gonna come in from everywhere, and I'm almost there. I'm almost there. There's been trials and tribulations, you know I've had my share. But I've climbed the mountain and across the river, and I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
Thank you, Gigi. Today's lesson, How Can I See This Differently, will be given by the Reverend Barbara Schreiner Trudell.
Good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. It's still morning time. Wow, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm so delighted that you're here this morning. And the message today is a message that I think is helpful at this particular time. And it is a question: how can I see this differently? I think sometimes when we look at the world events or we look at things in our lives, we automatically make judgments, and the judgments are this is good or this is bad. And we actually believe that our judgment is in fact the correct one, and that everyone else maybe has a misinterpretation and that they're not correct, but we are, that we are somehow being right in each moment. And so I want to invite you to consider something. Imagine for a moment that the event that is occurring right now, and we'll take a look at COVID-19 as that event, that what is happening right now is in fact a neutral event, okay? Of itself, it has no power. It has no emotional charge. However, the way I look at it, the way I think about it, the perception I have of it will determine what that experience is for me or what it means for me. Now, I think most of us would probably look at COVID-19 and go, oh, it's bad, very, very bad. And then there might be some other people who go, no, it's actually been really good for my particular business, or it's been very good for me to have time to rest and reinvigorate myself. So we can have different perceptions. The reality is that nobody is truly right. The truth is the event is neutral. Okay. Now, whether it's COVID-19 or if it's our current experience at home or our financial experience, our health experience, every event is neutral. And we know that this is true because if we were to speak with all the members of our family, for example, I'm the eldest of 10 children. If I were to take one particular Christmas day, for example, and say, wow, worst Christmas ever, my brothers might go, are you kidding me? It was the best Christmas ever. And my sisters might go, whatever, right? Who's right? We want to begin to look at the world from a new vision. And so the way we can see this differently is to begin to come to it in a new way. So I've got a couple of ideas of how we could do this differently. And one is to recognize that our essence is of love. So if we come to everything from that place of love, if we open our hearts and minds to that place of love, as we allow ourselves to be in that loving energy, what we'll find is that we're accepting. We accept the moment now as is. There is no need to judge or criticize. We can simply be in the experience, whatever that looks like. And the energy of love is not a romantic inclination, but rather the God essence or the Christ essence of us sort of stepping into a bigger view of reality, shall we say. that instead of judging experiences, we're having them. And we're noticing how we experience each thing without judgment or criticism, just being with it. I had a friend years ago who was an alcoholic, and a bunch of people wanted to get together and do a, what do you call it? The word has left me. They wanted to come together anyway and stop her from doing what she was doing. Sorry, Pierre? Intervention, thank you. See, I need my outside voices to sometimes give me inside inspiration. So some people wanted to do this intervention, and the love was behind it, right? They wanted to do it because they wanted her to be healthy and strong and to live forever or whatever. But I said to them that I would not participate. And the reason I wouldn't participate is I knew full well that she would not take it well. In fact, it wouldn't cause her to stop drinking. All it would do is shut us out of her life forever. I was really clear that that would be her response. So interestingly, when I didn't participate, no one else did either. So the intervention never happened. And she did end up dying at age 52 of liver failure. The thing is that we couldn't prevent her journey. And we really didn't have a right to judge her journey because we didn't know it. We did not know what was inside her that caused her to need the vodka to get through a day. We didn't understand the full impact of her family dynamic that caused her to be where she was. And so it was none of our business. Now you might sit back and go, well, it is our business. And yeah, we can have conversations with people and we can share with them, are you sure you're doing the best thing? But to do an intervention, alcoholism isn't cured by me telling somebody they shouldn't drink. Alcoholism is cured when somebody looks in the mirror and goes, wow, I need to change my life. Okay, I can change my life. You cannot change my life. All right. And so Carolyn was really aware that what she was doing was in fact harming her. She was a great spiritual teacher and her path was cut short, but she impacted so many lives along the way. She was a high school teacher and she changed the lives of so many students. And I was one of those students in her first years of teaching. The journey that we're on is personal. And when we are busy looking outside ourselves at what somebody else is doing, it is kind of an error way of being in the world, because when I'm looking at somebody else and judging someone else, that judgment is coming from me and there's something in me that is ready to be healed. And so if I have a judgment, what I need to be doing is not looking at the person in front of me that I'm judging, but rather look within myself and ask, what is in me that is now ready for a healing? What is it in me that is ready to change? Okay. And a lot of this stuff is coming up from our past, right? It's coming up from something our parents told us or a sibling told us, or somebody, suggested somewhere along the way that, we were bad for this or bad for that, whatever the case may be. And what we want to do is begin to look at that from a new vantage point where we go, the past doesn't exist, the future doesn't exist, all there is now. And in this now moment, I can choose my life. I can choose my life to be positive and life-giving. I can choose my life to be supportive and kind. I can choose to love the people around me as they are, where they are. And I think that we have a better possibility of inspiring someone if we live from the place of modeling certain behaviors, such as taking personal responsibility and living in the now moment. The idea of loving ourselves and forgiving ourselves is such an important part of this action. You see, most of what we judge is because somebody has judged us in a similar way. It happens often, right? If somebody is a little too outgoing and loud and stuff, I might sit back and go, oh, like, rein it in a little bit. And why would I say that? Well, because my mother always told me to shut up. I was too loud, too boisterous, too out there. I was having too much fun or not enough fun, whatever it was, the way I was expressing it was not okay by her, but was it really not okay? We want to, reframe everything and look at it from a new perspective. So how can I see the world differently? How can I see my life differently? Is we want to look at our lives and know that where I work is within me. It's the only place I can do work. If I see a change that needs to occur, the work is to be done within me. Okay, I can't change my husband. I don't know how many people have gotten into relationships going, I know it's, this could be changed, that could be, no, you can't change anybody. The only thing you can change is yourself. And in changing yourself, everything around you will automatically change as well. So it's really important to come to that place of going, okay, now what? In what way do I need to shift? So if I look at, if I sit back and look at my family and go, oh, you guys are running late. Not that that's ever happened, but if it did, I could sit back and go, okay, what in me needs to be worked on, right? So I might sit back and go, well, I could be more patient. I could look at myself and go, what is it about me that needs to shift here? What is it about me that needs a healing? And, for me, it would be patience, because I can be impatient. When I want something done, it's like, okay, it should be done yesterday, right? It should have been done before I even knew that it had to be done. And I think some of us are in that position where we're sort of looking at wanting solutions before we even find our way. But the reality is that each of us is a divine idea in the mind of God. And when we can fully love ourselves as we are, we begin to change the way we show up in the world. And we also change our expectations of how others show up. I did a Vipassana meditation retreat once, and it was 10 days of silence. And in that time, we did many hours a day of meditation, and certain hours of the day was just in quiet solitude. But all of it was either meditation, sleep, a little bit of food, meditation, sleep. That was it for the whole 10 days. And maintaining silence all the time, which included noble silence, which meant we were not allowed to make eye contact with each other. We weren't allowed to touch each other. And so even in the food lineup, we had to maintain a certain distance so as to be respectful of everyone around us. And for many of us, that was quite challenging to really take that length of time and not, do whatever. But it's interesting how the mind works, because boy, does it work overtime. I remember sitting there in a room of 50 people, women on one side, men on the other, sitting on our little mats in meditation and noticing what everybody around me was doing. Did somebody sniffle? Did somebody shift their position? Like there was this constant outer thing that was going on where, rather than being inside of me and hearing my own story and my own experience, it's this is distracting me, that's distracting me. How can I meditate if this is going on, that's going on? And that was the first couple of days. All these things around me disturbing my peace. The reality was I was resistant to being present in the silence and allowed distractions from outside to disturb that. And it was my choice. And it's interesting to watch as I got to day 6 and day 7, when all of a sudden the judging mind began to quiet. And I could be in the room and find my peace. But it took me about 5 or 6 days before I actually got to that place. And it's a very rich and rewarding experience when we do get to a place where we've released that outer expectation of how everybody else needs to be in order for me to be comfortable. And what we come to realize, or what I came to realize in that moment, is I'm comfortable when I'm comfortable with me, in my skin, in my life, in my experience. So owning my experience and owning my life and owning my feelings and attitudes and naming them all good, right? So whether I feel angry or I feel frustrated or I feel joyful, all of it is good. We've come to decide that certain emotions are bad and wrong and certain emotions are good. And so let me smile all the time because that's good. That's a lie. If we're smiling constantly, but we're in misery, who are we lying to anyway? We're telling a lie to ourselves, firstly, but then we're also presenting a lie to the world. So we want to come back to ourselves in each moment. I am responsible for my life. I am responsible for my journey. I am responsible for the changes that I want to see in the world, because the change has to begin inside of me. So how can I see the world differently? How can I see life differently? How can I see the many opportunities around me differently? I have to change my thinking. I have to change my mind. Now we can do that. Part of the process is to start to look around us and choose consciously to look at it differently. So in this little booklet that I've been reading, which was written by the Reverend Dr. Paul Hasselbeck, who is a Unity minister, he talked about this thing called attitudinal healing, which was first created by Dr. Gerald Jampolsky and based around, I think, A Course in Miracles. And he said in here that there's actually 12 principles that healing method is based on. And the first is the essence of our being is love. So when we begin to accept that love is my essence, not separate from me, different from me, it's not something I need to acquire, earn, it is the essence of my being. That begins to help me to change how I perceive myself and the world. The second is health is inner peace. Health is inner peace. When we look at the idea of health, all of a sudden we sometimes think that, oh, it happened to me. Somebody gave me this infection. Somebody caused me to be sick. A doctor did this wrong. A diagnosis was, we'll come up with all kinds of things, won't we? I ate the wrong food. Food is causing me to be sick. I went to the store. There was another person there. They coughed. They made me sick. But the truth is, take the cold virus, for example, it's always around. But why is it that certain of us only catch a cold at a certain time of year? Right? We do this. It's like, oh, it's July 1st. Guess what? I got a summer cold. Or guess what? It's November 15th. Guess what? I got my cold now. Or, oh, it's April. Guess what? Here it is again. Every year I get it at exactly the same time. And the idea is that within me, I have set a clock that says, here's when I get sick. The cold virus is always there. Always, right? We could get it any day or not. And there's some people who never get sick. The minister who trained me, for example, just said, I never get sick. I never get sick. And she never, ever did. I was in her church for the 5 years that she was there doing the training of me. And for that entire 5 years, she never missed a class, a service, a board meeting, anything, never. Like, she was always healthy. And as far as I know, to this day, she remains that way. But her consciousness says, I am never, ever sick. I'm always healthy. So health is inner peace. When we come to terms with who we are, when we forgive any past pain or interruption, if we let go of anger, resentment, things like that, we begin to experience inner peace, which results in a healthy body. And healing really is letting go of fear. And fear is such a deadly thing, because it's like it focuses our attention on things that are bad and difficult and things that are challenging to us. And when we live in that place of fear, even hormonally, we affect the hormones in our body in a way that result in things like cancer or other, illnesses, fibromyalgia. I came across a bunch of people at one point in time in my life where everybody in the group was always constantly saying, I'm so sick and tired. And interestingly, about 60% of those people had fibromyalgia. Whatever we put behind I am, pay attention to that. If you're putting anything behind it, I am sick, I am sad, I am lonely, just know that the divine in me is saying yes to that mantra. So let's change it to, I am health, I am joy, I am peace. Barbara might be experiencing a bit of a whatever today, but I am, right? Because the I am has such power. The next one is giving and receiving are the same. And if you were to take a look at say, a quarter, and you looked at that quarter, you would notice there's heads and tails. But the reality is it's all just a quarter, right? It all has the same value. It all has the same worth. Both sides doing the same thing. Well, giving and receiving is the same thing. It's the law of compensation, or the law of receiving, or the law of giving, however you want to name it. And what it says is that all of it is in fact the same. There's many of us who are really good at giving. We will give support to friends, to family, to neighbors, to strangers on the street. But then somebody comes to us and goes, oh, hey, I want to give you this. And we go, no, thank you. It's okay. I'm good. I'm all right. Can I buy you lunch today? Oh, no, that's all right. I can pay for myself. Or, oh, yeah, no, I'm going to do something else. Or, hey, can I do this for you? No, don't bother yourself. I'm quite all right. What we've done is we have eliminated the possibility of receiving good because we've said no to it. And we have, in fact, caused harm in the world, in the sense that, how good it feels to give, right? I think all of us have had the experience of doing something for someone that is a very giving act, and how joyful we feel as a result of the gift we've given. And we turn around and we tell somebody else, you can't have that. You can't experience the joy of giving because I refuse to receive. But you haven't thought about it that way, have you? But that's what we do sometimes, right? We're limiting actually somebody else's blessing by refusing to receive. Now we can sit back and say, well, I don't want to be a taker in life. Well, it's not about being a taker in life. If somebody offers you something, say thank you. Somebody says to you, wow, what a beautiful new dress you're wearing. Just say thank you. Don't sit back and say, this whole thing, I got it on sale at blah, blah, blah. Forget all of that. Thank you is the response. Somebody wants you to take you to lunch, say thank you. Go to lunch, have a great meal. If somebody comes along and decides to shovel your walk in the wintertime, say thank you. Accept the blessing. Know that giving and receiving are in fact the same thing. We live in a universe, right? We're one in this universe. We all live, move, and have our being in the same thing, which is God. We need to live in that place from the awareness and understanding that it's all moving and flowing. It's all interconnected. As I give, so shall I receive. We've heard those words. We need to actually believe them. We cannot just do one or the other. It has to be something that flows. We all know the infinity symbol and how it looks. It's the flow of life. It flows in, it flows out, it flows in, it flows out. If we create a blockage anywhere, it's like taking your garden hose and giving it a crank to shut the water off for a second. The water's still there, the pressure's still there, the ability to water your grass is still there, but you have stopped it with your fist. When we stop the inflow of good, that's precisely what we've done. We've stopped our ability to receive. And when we do that, we stop the flow of everything in and out. So we have to let that go. We have to let it go. Giving and receiving, one thing. The fourth one is we have to let go of the past and the future, right? So we know we can't change the past. We really can't live in the future because it doesn't exist. Really, the only thing that does exist is now. And so I must be present now. And in this now moment, I can create, I can dream, I can hope, I can pray, I can visualize or vision. Being present is so essential because this is the point in time that exists. And when I'm living in the now moment, I might feel very powerful and creative and intuitive. When I'm living in the past, it's amazing how disempowered we become. And when we're too far into the future, again, we're feeling disempowered from what's going on. And somebody was just asking where this is coming from. And so I'm just going to share this with you. Anybody who would like a copy of this, I do have many of them. They're free from Unity, and I'm happy to share them with anybody. Send an email to the office, and we can drop some off at the office for you, or we can mail them to you, whatever you like. I have lots of them, and I'm happy to share. So now is the only point in time And so we want to recognize that. The next is, now is the only time there is, and each instant is for giving. So what we want to do is every moment of every hour of every day, we want to stand in this moment and breathe into the fullness of life and say, now what? Now what? What is my next step? What do I need to do right here, right now, in this moment? What is mine to do? And when we're in that place of giving our energy into life, giving our energy into the things that are going on, if we can give that, then something wonderful is going to come as a result of it. And I'm just going to give the name of the booklet here. It's called Spiritual Support for Caregivers and Those Who Love Them. Spiritual Support for Caregivers and Those Who Love Them. So if you want a copy of that, just let the office know. All right, so we're learning that we got to give into life. The next one is we can learn to love ourselves and others by forgiving rather than judging. Oops. Judging is so much easier than forgiving, isn't it? What is he saying here? As caregivers, it's easy to judge others and ourselves. Caregiving is more peaceful when we love ourselves and others by forgiving and offering grace in place of judgment and condemnation. So again, we're changing how we look at life and how we look at the world. We're choosing to be in that place of letting go. And I know that oftentimes the idea of forgiveness is a big one because we've kind of tied forgiveness and forgetting together, and they don't go together, and they never have, they never will. You can forgive something and still not forget what happened. And in fact, you're never going to really forget because the mind has the capacity to remember every minute of every hour of every day we've ever lived. So to put in mind that I can't forgive unless I can forget, then you will never forgive because the two really don't go together. So instead, what we want to do is remember that forgiving means that I am releasing the past for myself. The other challenge with forgiving is that there's an idea that somehow it's making the other person's bad behavior right or good. And that's not it either, right? It has nothing to do with the other person. This is about you letting go of them, letting go of that experience, letting go of your attachment to being right, giving up the idea that I'm a victim, and living instead in that place of grace, going, I'm going to give love to myself and I'm going to release the past. And in so doing, I can move forward. And I can move forward in a way that's positive and productive and life affirming. Okay, so forgiveness is really about moving forward. And if you need to do forgiveness work, and we all do, there is a wonderful worksheet online that you can download. It's called Radical Forgiveness. You can Google that. The worksheet PDF will come up, and that PDF will help you to walk through a process. This was created by Colin Tipping, and the process is a really powerful one. It can take a little time to do. It is a little bit of a challenge, but it's a really good process, and it can take you from your feeling to a place of freedom. So I invite you to check that out. The next point that I wanted to mention is we become love finders rather than fault finders. Oh my goodness, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be great to look around and instead of going, oh, can you believe what so-and-so did? We look around and notice what's beautiful and wonderful. Instead of finding fault with things, we look at it and we decide to love it, knowing that each individual shows up in unique and remarkable ways, and however they show up, it's all God, it's all good. And we allow ourselves to begin to experience life from that new place where we go, oh, what beautiful thing is happening today, and what gorgeous thing did this person do? Instead of focusing on, what's wrong or bad or whatever, let's focus on what's good and beautiful and wonderful. So I invite you to become a love finder instead of a fault finder. The eighth one is we can choose and direct ourselves to be peaceful inside, regardless of what is happening outside. And that's a little bit of what I talked about in the beginning, that if we look at each event as neutral, right? If we look at it as neutral, then we don't have to have a lot of emotion around it. If we look at an event and we go, it's bad, the emotions that will come from that are going to be anger, frustration, annoyance, sadness, grief, whatever it is, right? We're going to come up with one of the emotions that we name negative. If we look at that same event and we go, woo, I love it, then all of a sudden the emotional feeling that we're having is joy and love and peace and celebration and whatever it is. Now, neither one of those things are truly accurate because the event of itself is neutral. So we want to find it in our hearts to look at life from this place of accepting it is what it is and being with it without having to judge it or make a decision about what it looks like. Remember, in the Bible, in the Genesis, it said that whatever you name a thing, that's what it will be for you. Not what it will be for everybody, but what it will be for you. So when we name certain things bad and wrong, you know, a bunch of us were looking at the news going, oh, how could all those people meet at Trinity Bellwood Park? Like, wow, that's bad. And we might get all upset and frustrated about it. But we could also look at that event and go, wow, people were making a choice that, you know, I'm not sure it was the best choice, and not have any emotional tie to it. And that actually puts us in a much more powerful and productive place. The judgments we hold on other people don't benefit us, and in fact can cause us harm. So we want to let go of all of that. Number 9 is we are students and teachers to each other. Every one of us is a teacher. Every child on the planet today is a teacher. And when we can sit back and look at each other and go, you're my teacher, I'm your student. I'm your teacher, you're my student. When we begin to recognize that we are, again, it's that infinity symbol, right? The giving and getting of life and living, the law of giving and receiving, that's constantly moving, constantly happening. So we want to allow ourselves to really embrace the idea and the vision that somehow what I'm doing is teaching someone else, and what they're doing, if I will be teachable, if I'll open my mind, I will receive wisdom from them as well. The minute we think we're better than somebody else, boy, we've just closed the doors on possibility. And the probability of us living fully who we are is greatly limited at that point. Okay, we all have to be teachable. So I invite you to open your minds and, you know, even look at the person who's causing you the greatest grief right now, because there's always somebody in our life that's pushing our buttons. Take a look at that person and the buttons they're pushing, and then ask yourself, when have I felt this way before? And you might come to learn that somebody else installed those buttons. Somebody else gave you a message or whatever, and you took it as truth. And because you took it as truth, it's now your experience. I remember a friend of mine years ago who, you know, somebody who, I don't know, got a bit of a low self-esteem, good looking gentleman, you know, powerful professional speaker, all kinds of good stuff, and yet really had this idea of himself as ugly. And the reason he thought that, because it sure wasn't true. I mean, anybody looking at him would go, wow, there's a man who's tall, dark, and handsome, like he's a really good looking guy. But when he was a child, a friend of his dad's came to the door one day, and him and his brother ran to answer it. And the guy said, the good looking one and the tall one. Of course, my friend is the tall one, right? So he took that to mean my brother's good looking and I'm ugly. Now, that's not what the guy said, but the interpretation, right? How we interpret events leaves a lasting impact on our lives. This man's now late 60s, maybe early 70s now. I haven't seen him for a few years, and probably still believes the same thing. We have to take a look at what we believe and why we believe it. And let's change that, because the truth is we're all children of God, created perfect, whole, and complete. Who we are in this moment and every moment is sufficient to the moment. We all have gifts and talents we bring. We're all unique and special in our own right. And so we have to let go of that outer interpretation we make of events, because they're not actually accurate. But we are students and teachers, and we do learn from these things. Number 10, we can focus on the whole of life rather than the fragments. Have you ever noticed sometimes that it's the little things that really get you? Little tiny things, maybe life is really, really good. And then somebody sits in traffic and they don't move fast enough at the green light. I was actually at Tim Hortons ordering some stuff the other day, and the people behind me were honking the horn because the order, I guess, wasn't being placed fast enough. And I thought, wow, I've seen it in traffic, but sitting at Tim Hortons, like, hello, people, come on, take a breath, take a step. But we have to look at ourselves and look at the way we experience life and look at those little moments and go, in this little moment, is it affecting the grand scheme of all that is? Is it having an impact that is negative or different? Or can I just be in this moment and find my peace in it? So we're all on a personal journey of finding our own inner love. Number 11, since love is eternal, death need not be viewed as fearful. This is a big topic and probably too big for the end of service today. But the idea of death is really one where we have predetermined or in our mind have been taught and trained that death is a bad thing. The truth is none of us are getting out alive. All right. There will come a point, Madge is laughing. There will come a point when each one of us is going to let go of this earthly costume that we're wearing and move on. Now, I believe there really truly is no death, right? That we are eternal spiritual beings, fully immortal. And because of that, who I am lives beyond this body temple. This one will eventually return to dust, and I will move back into the infinite stream of consciousness and continue on from there. So we want to take a look at death a little bit differently, possibly. Maybe yes, maybe no. But it's up to us to go, can we look at death as a neutral event that every single man, woman, and child will at some point in time grow into? We will at some point leave this body. Can I view it from a more spiritual standpoint where I can let the fear go? It's not that I want to die tomorrow, because truly I don't, but I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of death coming. I'm not afraid of the people around me dying. I don't want them to. Right? And if they die, I'm going to grieve and I'm going to be very sad because I want to be able to see them and talk to them and touch them and hug them and all the things I can't do right now. But allowing myself to be at peace with the idea that this will occur. I can't say when and where and for whom, but it will occur. And can I find peace with it and still allow myself the grieving process? Because even though I'm peaceful with the idea of death, I still grieve the loss of my loved ones and my friends. I'm still saddened when some of those things occur. But at the same time, I know it's a freeing of the soul. And that each one of us decides at some very subconscious level when and how we will leave this incarnation of life. So it's a whole new way of looking at things, but it allows us just to delete the fear aspect. And number 12, we can always perceive others as either loving or fearful and giving a call for help, for love. The idea of a call for love, when we experience somebody else who's challenged in some way or another, we can look at what's going on for them and recognize it as a call for love. And if we do that, there won't be the judgment and the criticism. Instead, there's going to be this warmth where we will bless them in some way, where we will embrace them in the idea of a loving energy, knowing that they too are perfect, whole, and complete now and always, that whatever is necessary or needed for them or their life experience is fully revealed here and now. And as we, hold people in this consciousness of love, we begin to assist them in elevating their own life experience so that they can see themselves in that same manner and in that same way. So we're journeying along, we're doing the best we can. And each one of us has an opportunity to love, to laugh, to play. But I invite you to see the experiences as neutral and allow yourself to live fully in each one, knowing that this moment has absolute power. And just know that you're a child of God. Therefore, your life is good, important, essential to the unfolding of the universe at this time. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.
Hello, everyone. You know as it touches to your grace, when the crowd seems that when I face one day, another one comes, clouding up my vision, but I can feel the sun. I know that I can do this. I know that I can live just as long as I have His love within. I believe that I can make it. I can make it through the night. I believe that I can walk on with my head held high. I believe that I am special in every way. But in order to have my victory, gotta believe. Oh, yeah. I have to see myself at the finish line. I have to visualize that everything will fall in line. I have to visualize the way while running through the storm. I have to trust in my Father and open up my heart. I know that I can do this. I know that I can win, just as long as I have His love within. I believe that I can make it through the night. I believe that I can walk with my head held high. I believe that I am special in every way. But in order to have my victory, oh, heartbreak and heartache, feel let down, no one's around. I believe I can, I receive I can, and now I'm walking right into my victory. I believe that I can make it through the night. I believe that I can walk on with my head held high. I believe that I'm special in every way. But in order to have my victory, I believe that I can make it through the night. I believe that I can walk on with my head held high. I believe that I am special in every way. But in order to have my victory, you gotta believe.
Beautiful. Thank you, Marita. What a gift you are. Looking so beautiful today. Well, at this time, I want to invite you about giving your tithes and offerings. And we're not passing the basket, of course, because, It would be a long pass. Anyway, I want to invite you to continue to share your tithes and offerings with Verity Center for Better Living, knowing that this church truly is a divine idea in the mind of God, realized now and always. And as we continue to tithe and give our gifts, we are supporting and maintaining a powerful ministry that Reverend Evan has spent so many years creating, and we are truly blessed to be a part of. So I invite you to send your tithes and offerings in. You can do that by doing an e-transfer to admin@veritycenter.org, or you can turn around and go online to our website at veritycenter.org and hit the donate link, and that'll take you through. And of course, you can mail them in as well. And the slide on the screen has the address. So thank you all for that. And let us just bless these gifts that I know are already a fully realized idea. As we come together in this moment, I accept and know here and now that Verity Center for Better Living is a divine idea in the mind of God, fully blessed financially and supported in love and joy, that the teachings that we teach are received as a gift and a blessing, and transformation is the result. So with a very grateful heart, I release all of these to the one, for it is done. All is well, and so it is. And at this time, let us do our closing affirmation, which is the prayer of protection. And you'll see that on your screen now. So join with me in reading these words. God as light surrounds me. God as love enfolds me. God as power protects me. God as presence watches over me. Wherever I am, God is. I am one with the one. And so it is. And now Shemrai is going to sing us out, and please feel free to sing along.
Yes, feel free to sing along. If you're on camera, wave, and we'll sing it together. All right, here we go. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Again. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Have a good week, everybody.